Well, welcome everyone again to Real Tax Talks. I have with us Ruth Ochoro, who will be telling us a little bit about her journey. And Ruth, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Michael. Appreciate this time, um, and this opportunity to share my thoughts and to also get to know what's out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I know you have a busy schedule, so I'll jump right into it. So, can you share a little bit about share with folks, kind of your journey, to how you got into real estate investing, and where you are today?
Yes, absolutely. So, so my name is Ruth Ochoro, like we said. I'm a real estate investor and I'm also a real estate agent. But in addition to that, I'm a finance and transformation leader in one of the big consulting firms. And so I do real estate mainly part-time because I have a full-time job. And so I've been I've been privileged to get myself into different aspects of real estate, different strategies, which I'll be happy to share some of the strategies that have been quite successful for me, and also just getting to try new things. That's what excites me. But to give you some background about myself, I'm originally from Kenya. I grew up in a humble background. My parents were also more middle class parents, so we didn't really have everything. But my parents always taught me that hard work pays, and also that you know if you want something, go for it, because you will you will always get it as long as you want it so bad. And also exposing me into to opportunities that once your eyes have seen something, then absolutely it registers in your mind and it becomes a reality one day. So that really helped me when I was growing up, because I got exposed to different aspects of life, different environments that I didn't grow up in, and that kind of shaped who I am, because I saw that there's a possibility and that it can be done. So that really pushed me and inspired me into who I am today.
Thanks for sharing that. And funny because you talked about your background and how that put you uh, how that's shaped your perspective. And then you mentioned working on financial transformation. So I'm sure that there's things that you've learned through financial transformations that are just like, how do I apply this to this other issue or this other uh, uh, opportunity, I would say issue, right, of real estate, right? There's this opportunity of real estate. What have I seen through financials, how financials work? Well, now I'm just applying this to real estate. So can you tell me a little bit about that and how it helped you?
Yeah, so I've always been a big person when it comes to finance. So my finance grades, I had an A in all my, on math, physics, all the all the tough grades. So that kind of is the reason why I'm in finance currently, because numbers just make sense for me. And when numbers make sense, then it ties to the risk aspect, because what I do simply, I look at numbers, and as long as the risk, I mean, you say take risks, but take calculated risks. As long as I can calculate the risk and I'm willing to take that risk, then I go for it, for the investment part of it. So what I do, for instance, when I find a deal, I look at the numbers, I look at the return on investment, I look at what, how are the numbers looking in terms of what I'm looking for. And when it makes sense, and when it feels right to me, and I'm able to deal with because there's always the ups and downs. So I look at the positives and the negatives, and I'm a process person. I'm a risk assessment. I come from a risk assessment background, so I do my risk assessment and I make sure that I'm able to mitigate all the factors that come with this investment. And if that makes sense to me, I just jump in.
Interesting. And so that so you're looking at risk, you're trying to apply that to that. And what kind of opportunities do you typically look after or work after?
So I've done different opportunities. I've done different investment strategies, but in this market is very tricky because interest rate is pretty high. So we end up doing, myself and my husband, we do fix, or we don't flip.
Mhm.
We do fix, but we turn it into like rentals. So for rentals, we do different strategies. Well, I did a few flips. We did a few flips, and we did some properties where we just bought straight up and applied the investment strategy that we wanted. So we've done a fix and turned it into an Airbnb in the Atlanta area market, and also we've done a fix and turned it into room rentals.
Mhm.
So where we just rent different rooms, and mainly the reason for that was because the interest rate is high. So you're trying to beat the interest rate because this was a loan. Um, and so you're trying to make sure that at least you're able to get something out of it. And room rentals have really been a great success for me. As much as operationally, I have to make sure that all the systems are working, like everything is operationally going on well, and I have the right support, I have the right people to take care of the tenants, then it works. Yeah. And then I've also done long-term rentals. So the first home we bought, so me and my husband were like, oh, okay, why should we stay in this home? Why can't we move and turn this home to an investment property? So that helped because then we had stayed in the property for more than 3 years, which is required by tax, so that, at least we are not dinged when it comes to, in terms of the mortgage requirements. So we did we did move out of that property and then turned that property to a long-term rental. And the main reason is because it was within a HOA. We had HOA in that neighborhood, and they only allow long-term rentals. But the numbers were making sense because we bought that property a long time ago, and so even if we rented it out for about, I'll just give you the numbers, for roughly $3,000, and the mortgage is almost half of that amount. So that extra is cash flow. That still makes sense because we still have equity in that property. So, we can use equity for whatever reasons. But then we moved to another primary, put down 3%. With 3%, it's lower than the 20% that we necessarily put down for the investment properties. And so we're able to make a move because now we'll be getting double equity.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then and so that's how we did our first one. So I have long term, I have short term, and I have
Okay,
midterm.
interesting. And even the short term, I'm guessing the rooms are short term, or are those monthlies or
Midterm,
midterm?
midterm, because at least we have lease agreements for at least 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are pretty easy because, and my experience is, once the tenants, if the house is really nice, they have a great experience, they end up staying for like 1 year. Because I have some of my tenants that they stay actually for 1 year, and they're pretty okay.
Is this like I guess what they used to call co-live, or what they're calling now co-living, right? Where
Yeah,
they share a kitchen and like common areas, but then they each have their own room and potentially their own bathroom. Is that how that works?
correct. Yeah, potentially their own bathroom, but so for the master bedrooms, we try and make as many master bedrooms as possible when you're doing the fix. But for the rest, they just share. And the specific rules for sharing the bathrooms, like maintaining cleanliness, cleaning after yourself. So you
Yeah,
have to put in those measures so that it's sustainable.
interesting. And do you find that those have more work than the short term or the long term
Less
rental?
work.
Less?
Yeah. Yeah. Less work. Short term works best if, once you give it to a property management company and the property management company does its thing. But it eats on the margin.
Mhm.
So really, because there's one property that we actually thinking of selling it because it's not short term, but literally the returns are like long term. So it's either we just turn it to a long term and we'll just sell it and then maybe buy 2 other room rentals that will give us um, the return, I would say, for room rentals is pretty good, almost close to 15 to 20%.
On your investment, on your 20% that you put in. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
So you're looking more towards doing the room rentals that tends to have, because yeah, I could see that would be a higher uh
Higher return.
yeah, it'd be a higher cost or a higher rate, but but the person gains the flexibility, right? Because they don't need to stay for longer than three months, so they can use it as an interim or yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Are they typically furnished? Are those room?
They're furnished, basic furnishing. So we mainly put the basic stuff like, beds, um, nightstands,
Mhm.
and they have like a closet, and then they just bring everything else. Sometimes I have like a small study table for them and a TV in some rooms. Those rent for hire. So just depending on
Yeah.
how much I put in, then the rent also goes up.
So it's
Yeah.
that's amazing. So it sounds like your kind of journey was you had your home and then you decided to buy another property and rent out your first home. So sort of a house hacking situation there.
Yes.
And then you did that and then you started buying other properties. So I'm guessing because this is not kind of your full time, the capital you gain that from uh, either the current rentals as you're going now, but your full time employment. Is that how?
Yes, so it's a mix between myself and my husband, but also the cash flow that we're getting out from this rental. We're just able to put in all the finances together. And also on my full-time job, I'm able to just, whatever extra we have, we just put in on the down payment because most of these homes we still have them on mortgage. So the strategy we're trying to get into right now is to at some point to just do like a fix and flip. So we wanna change it to a fix and flip for a minute because we like peace of mind. So we wanna make sure we offset our mortgages, and then we can just do it over and over again. I know most people will just tell me, "Hey, cash is king, and keep all your cash. You can still do these loans," but I guess it's just everyone's preference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, leverage is part of real estate, right? So that's definitely where people want to put their capital and make it go farther. I mean, and getting 15% return on your 20% investment is
Yes.
is a great place. It's a great place to be because that's not normal, right? That's atypical. Uh,
Yes.
so that's I mean that means you're doing something right. And then
Yes.
yeah, fix and flip. If you don't, I guess you already have the rental know-how. So if you don't sell it, you could always just rent it, right? That
You can rent it, yeah. Or you can sell, you can sell or rent. And because I talked to some folks, there's some folks who really, really they don't want leverage at all. Like
Mhm.
they're like, this is my home. I have to pay it off completely before I get another one. I say leverage is good, but it just depends on how much it depends on what exactly you want and what you want to do because there are people who don't like leverage. I respect them. They pay off all their mortgages. I say you can take leverage up to a certain point, and if you feel like you're not having peace of mind and you want to pay them off for peace of mind, pay them off because you never know how tomorrow is. But then leverage gives you that up advantage because it takes you to the next level. Because either way, it's difficult to buy some properties because they're pretty costly unless you have all the cash. So we use leverage, but then at some point, and making sure that the strategy works such that you're always able to pay that mortgage in case anything happens. Then the room rental one, and the reason why we really incline ourselves more towards a room rental, because there's the risk is mitigated in a way because you have like 6 or 7 different tenants
Mhm.
And so if one person, say, moves out, you still have five. So it's give or take, at least at a bare minimum, we've not been in a position where even if three people move, we're still able to meet the mortgage. So that's the beauty about it. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And I think, kind of touching on all the aspects of it, right? I mean, leverage helps you do more. So having the
Yeah.
mortgages, allows you to do that. The risk is obviously, and talking about risk, right? That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Overextending yourself to not purchase too much, right? Having that flexibility of knowing, well, if I have one vacancy, can I handle, what's my tolerance, right? For these
Exactly.
things. And it's funny because you said cash is king, but I add to that, I say cash flow is king.
Thank
And
you. Yes.
cash flow is king because that's really, if the money isn't flowing, and that's, I think, also the risk of paying off properties is, if you don't have cash, you have the properties paid off. How do you get, it's sometimes, if you find yourself in a difficult situation, it's harder to go and gain debt on it, right? So maybe having the cash and being able to pay it off but not paying it off is
Yeah.
also uh, I guess, like a way to kind of do that. Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and you've talked about the different properties, and I guess you haven't really. I think you said you flipped one already, or you haven't flipped any houses yet, or
We haven't flipped actually. Yeah. We've just been fixing and turning them around.
okay.
Yeah. We're
So
like, okay, let's get the cash flow, instead of selling. So now we want to change the strategy probably to start flipping so that, we're able to see what else you can do. And also I'm thinking of also high-end short-term rentals in specific targeted locations, also to for the cash flow piece.
right.
Yeah, those two strategies. Yeah.
So as part of all of this, I mean, you have these rental properties. What's been your tax strategy? Have you performed cost segregation studies? Have you taken it? Have you looked into taking advantage of bonus depreciation, or is that not things that you've done just yet?
Um, so we, so I have a CPA who takes care of my taxes, but most of the time, every year we sit down and do the okay, he does all the depreciation of the properties or whatever. He's able to advise me to tell me, oh, okay, can you do this? So, but I think my next plan of action is just to better understand the real estate tax implications and how I can position myself strategically to be able to really benefit, because I'm a real estate agent, so that really helps me because also for tax purposes. But still, because I have income, so I have all this income coming from different areas, from my real estate business, from my full time, and from the property. So also just trying to make sure that everything is recorded well. So maybe I'll look up to you to give me more details, because you're a tax person, like you or at least you can give me some advice on the tax aspects.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. That's why us,
Yeah,
I find a lot of times I speak to folks and they haven't even considered cost segregation studies. I mean, if you're in real estate, but you also have short-term rentals, so you have the ability of,
yeah,
having real estate professional status if you meet certain
yeah,
qualifications. Uh, but there's also, if not, you have short-term rentals, and that's the short-term rental loophole. And then there's these opportunities to take advantage, especially now that bonus depreciation or the 100% bonus depreciation is back. You can take that on some of the properties. So,
yeah,
looking at your strategy of potentially fix and flip, if you now have a short-term capital gain, you're going to be paying a higher tax rate potentially, right? If you have, also acquired something that you're holding on to, and or have already acquired and haven't
yeah,
performed a cost segregation study, there's the
mhm,
opportunity to go and do that on that property and take advantage of the tax savings. So maybe wipe out, $100,000 gain on a flip with $100,000 in bonus depreciation on a current property, right? Those are some of the things that I
yeah,
see kind of working kind of hand in hand, because at the end of the day, I advise folks that when they're working on any investment, right, they should be, they have
Yeah.
this plan for it,
Yeah.
and they should understand the tax situation. And yes, the tax code changes, and the bonus depreciation went away and came back, and all of those things. But on the big beautiful bill. But if
Mhm.
you're not doing, but if you at least plan based on what you know today, so that, hey, this is my plan. I'm going to sell this in 5 years, or I'm going to hold this forever, or I'm going
Yeah.
to fix and flip it. I need to know, well, my tax situation, I expect to make $100,000. What does
Yes.
it mean, right? And then what steps can I take to mitigate that with my
Yes.
portfolio or with a different acquisition, so that I'm not in a position to pay a
Yes.
huge tax bill.
Yeah.
Uh,
Love it. Yeah. So I think you brought in a good point. So um, especially when it comes to, because now I'm thinking of fixing and flipping, then I need to think of cost segregation and bonus depreciation. I've just been thinking of bonus depreciation for the most part, because I benefit from that essentially, and I've been getting all the tax benefits because of all the properties that we're fixing. But now, yeah, I need to change the strategy better when I do the fix and flips. And also, the other strategy that I always think of is a 1031 exchange. Um, because for the investment properties of when I want to turn them around, I'm thinking, okay, if I want to acquire additional loans, and I can just do a 1031 exchange instead of, getting hit on the capital gains tax at that point of selling it. So also something that I look into.
Yeah, 1031 exchanges are great, and you just have to be careful of following all the rules, right?
Yeah.
That you're in a good place.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I had one of my friends, my best friends. We just did a 1031 exchange for her, and we were going through all the rules, and it's crazy. Like, we have to make sure we have the right loan, otherwise I'm not gonna go through. Like, it's all these different requirements within the 1031 exchange. So it's pretty amazing to go through that process.
Yeah,
It's pretty
especially
amazing.
the timing is also critical in a 1031 exchange. And some people are actually very against 1031 exchanges. I
Yeah.
think they have their place. Uh, I think what I've heard from others is they don't want to rush to make a decision, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's to save the taxes, but I might be making a poor investment.
That's
And
right.
I don't know how poor of an investment it will be, but I know how much taxes I'll pay now. So some people say just pay the taxes or mitigate it with another strategy as opposed to doing 131. And
Yeah.
I think there's a place for both, right? It just really
Yeah.
depends on what the numbers are and what really makes sense
Yeah.
for you.
Because the time crunch is crazy. It's a lot of, yeah.
So kind of shifting gears. Tell me a little bit about what's the biggest challenge that's really shaped your investor mindset.
Um, so I will say, when I did speak to one of my best friends, and she had, so at that time when I did have just one property, and the property was owned by my husband, and I'm like, oh, you have you have a great job. How come you don't have other properties? So she literally challenged me, because I mean, I had been thinking through it, but taking the action was, and that's why many people are like, like it's that flip between what you want and actually taking the action. But she actually helped me look at it from a different angle. So the challenge was always like taking the action, especially because you tend to get too comfortable where you are, and then you just don't want to do anything because you're okay. And most people are in that position, unfortunately. But then the shift came when my friend had like 4 properties out of state in Oregon. And then she's like, oh, it's just me, and I'm just on my own, and I have 4 properties. How many properties do you have? I'm like, on my name? I don't have anything. It's like, how? how, so that I was like, yeah, it makes sense to make the move. And that's why we made the first move. And once we made the first move, we said with my husband, oh, we did this. Let's just keep doing it over and over again. So that's really like shaped our mindset in terms of it's a risk, it can be done. But that's why I brought the mitigating aspect of, okay, let's bring in the mitigation. Let's make sure that as we take these risks, we are able to balance it off, we're able to manage it in a way that is easy, that's not stressful.
Yeah, that is interesting, because especially as you talked about like the numbers and the numbers making sense, I think sometimes people get stuck in that analysis stage and they don't move beyond it. So it's good that you're looking at it from like, there is a risk. I know what the risks are. I'm analyzing it and I'm taking action, because that is actually where a lot of people get stuck in lots, right? Not just real estate investing, but they get stuck in, what do I do now? How do I move forward? How do I grow this, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that those are very wise words from your friend.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth, it's been wonderful chatting with you and kind of hearing a little bit about your experiences. Is there anything else, any other words of wisdom or advice that you would like to impart on someone, that's maybe just starting their journey or is maybe in a similar position to yours? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would just say that, the opportunities are there. You just have to go for them. Like every day, there's so many opportunities, especially in this country. So, and many people don't realize that those opportunities are actually there and they're open to everybody, and anyone can benefit from it as long as you take the right steps and you connect with the right people to help take you to the next level. So that's why I will just challenge those people who are just out there and they're still like on the fence, or they want to go move to the next level. We don't know how the market is going to look tomorrow, but we know what we know right now. So it's looking at the market right now and making those decisions that are very solid, that are very, very helpful in the current market, because you don't know how the next market is going to look. And guess what? As long as you've looked at all the factors, you've looked at the tax implications, you look at it from a holistic angle, make a decision, make your investment decision, and move forward, because the opportunities are there. Take risk, take calculated risk, and the sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's just so much opportunity, and I think I heard someone say once, well, there's so much opportunity, why isn't someone else? It's like, because everyone doesn't have unlimited capital, right?
Yes.
And so, or it might fall outside of what they're looking for, right? They might have 100 times the capital that you have, and you're looking for different profile of opportunities. But yes, there are opportunities, and yes, you have to make the kind of that leap of faith and go and do it. And after you feel sufficiently based on what you know. You don't know what you don't know.
You know what you don't know, right? And the least thing you can do is to at least find out. Hey, can I qualify for this? Hey, can I do this? Can I do a fix and flip? Hey, can I get a hard money lender and put in 9% down, which is pretty little, and they finance everything, and you do your fix and you do your flip. The opportunities are there. It's just going for it, just figuring out what's the first step do I make, and then going for it.
Absolutely, Ruth. Well, thank you so much, Ruth. It's been a true pleasure getting to know you. And to our listeners, hope you've enjoyed this chat with Ruth Ochoro. And we wish you all of the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.